Thank you for taking time out with Premier Sports Officials Association. Sean Johnston here, bringing you umpire training tape number 3. And as you see all these logos on here, myself work all these levels and I also supervise all these levels. And the topic is be a pro. Not everybody could be a professional Major League Baseball coach. Not everybody can be a Major League Baseball player, and not everybody can be a Major League Baseball umpire. But this training tape is to show examples of how players, coaches, and umpires can be a pro person for the game of baseball. Because at the end of the day, the purpose of sport is to use an avenue to teach others a good way to live life. So these two pictures popped up the other day. Coaching youth sports to positively impact kids, not to win trophies and rings. You could say that not only youth sports, but high school sports and college sports. We as leaders, as adults, need to set the example of a proper way to handle situations, adversity situations, and situations where we succeed, and be humble. And then the other picture, very few kids will go pro, but all will grow up. Let's make sure sports help and not hurt. All right, so we're going to use examples from high school game, college games, and youth sports games of showing how we can use sports to impact kids in a positive way so they are pros at whatever they do when they grow up. The first example is from a college game, and there is a rule stating players cannot have a national anthem standoff. So before the game we have a national anthem. Coaches, please instruct your players to get off the fair foul lines after the national anthem. We're all about having religion part of student athlete's life. However, it is not the time or place on the fair foul line after the national anthem to have a standoff. So we have two players from either team now at risk of being ejected for the national anthem standoff. All right. Umpires, how to handle this situation? First, communicate with the players. Please get off the fair foul line. Second, get the head coaches involved. Coaches, please get your players off the fair foul line. And if they still refuse to help you as umpires, you have all authority at this moment to eject this player. All right, this is an example of using sport to teach a person of how to be a pro. A lot of people have given a lot of sacrifice in the military, and is not the time and place to do that type of behavior in college or high school sport, to have a standoff after the national anthem. And that is why it's a rule that if there is a standoff, players are at risk of being ejected. Umpires, use body language, use voice, and use head coaches to help you to teach others of how to be a pro and respect the national anthem. Another example of we as umpires can help be there to help players learn how to be a pro. We're going to have a home run ball here, and the first base umpire does an awesome job pausing and turning, reading the right fielder, sprinting to the fair foul line and the fence, and then going out and reacting because it is a trouble ball. That now leaves a home plate umpire all by himself to take that runner. Why is this home plate umpire that far away from home plate? Well, we have interaction number 1. All right. First baseman could say something to the batter could say something to the first baseman. As we continue playing, interaction 2, interaction 3, interaction number 4, presence can prevent unsporting behavior. All right, then we get to home plate. Make sure everybody is at the warning track and or in the dugout. No props, no celebration on the field, but they're doing it within the confines of their dugout with their team. So this is a good example of umpires using presence, using mobility is going to prevent unsporting behavior. So good hit, good humbleness by the offense, and good job by the umpires not allowing unsporting behavior. This next play is to demonstrate proper mechanics, proper signaling to enforce the action clock. In high school at the state of Nebraska, we allow the new defense 120 seconds from the previous out to get the pitcher out there, to get the fielders out there, have your warm-up pitches, and be ready to play. In college, 120 seconds by rule from the last recorded out to get the pitcher out there, fielders out there, unlimited amount of pitches as so long as the defense is ready to play when that 120-second pitch clock expires. So we have a fly ball to the outfield routine, and then we have the base umpire raising his hand and starting the clock. So whether you are working youth baseball, high school baseball, college baseball, they all have clocks for in-between innings. The warm-up pitch rules might be different, but we have to enforce, we have to communicate the action clock to keep the game moving. We can't allow one team to gain an advantage in youth sports when there's a time limit. Sub-varsity high school, when there's a time limit and they're winning, don't give them 5 minutes. All right. In college, it's the pace of play. All right. So last out, raise your hand, start the clock, and then when that clock is close to expire, you then communicate 30 seconds left by raising your hand, 15 seconds left, putting your hands out to the side, and home plate umpire, get the batter up, get the pitcher with the ball, engage with the pitcher's plate, and be ready to put that ball in play prior to that pitch clock reaching 0. We don't want to penalize. We want to enforce, use communication to prevent. Be a pro. Last play from this game. This is a perfect example of modeling professional behavior at all levels of baseball. We got top of the ninth, 2 outs, 2-2 count, fly ball, last play of the game. Base umpire sprinting in position in case that ball's dropped. Home plate umpire getting out as far as they can and getting set prior to that catch. Being a pro from the first pitch to the last pitch is going to give you credibility as an umpiring crew and also role modeling for others watching of what it is to be a pro. Hustle is controllable, control the controllables, and you will be a pro. This next play is from a 14 and under select baseball game with a teenage umpire and a veteran umpire in the field. As this play goes, this is what we call a snowball fight. We have ball overthrown in the center field, overthrown behind the catcher, and then the catcher is throwing it at home for an apparent out call. All right. The umpire signals out. All right. So that is the call on the field. And then what transpires is 2 adult coaches sprinting down at this teenage kid, yelling and screaming. Umpires, coaches, this is not being a pro. College umpires and college coaches are well informed of how to deal with an egregious error as an umpire. We go to the dirt circle in a calm manner. We ask a question. If the umpires are able to get together, they will get together. Or they could go to the 45-foot line and wait for the calling umpire to meet them. When we have 2 coaches come to the umpire, we have to have an ejection. only the head coach can talk to the calling umpire. So we should have an ejection here for the assistant coach leaving his position, yelling and screaming. Now, this umpire does an excellent job of going to his partner as a pro and keeping calm. The veteran umpire gives the calling umpire the information. The ball was on the ground at the time of the tag. Yes, we can get this call right as a crew. We have safe. However, coaches, we have to role model behavior. If something doesn't go in your way, stay calm. Have an adult conversation with the umpire. If the umpires can make it right, they will make it right. At the end of this play, we should have 2 coaches ejected for leaving their position and screaming, arguing at an umpire. Now let's see what it looks like from another situation where a coach is upset, does not like the judgment, but he handles it like a pro. We have an 0-2 count. Ball is in the dirt. We have a check swing, and the first base umpire does a voluntarily signal of yes, he did on a swing. And then we have both umpires raising their hand to make it a dead ball. Okay, so the call on the field is strike 3, check swing, no catch, and the catcher tagged the batter out. This is an advanced mechanic at the college and professional level. Base umpires, wait until your home plate umpire goes to you for help on a check swing. Okay, so, but the call on the field is check swing, drop third strike, batter is out. The offensive team obviously is not going to like this call. Okay, so now we as a crew, a team of 3, are going to get together to share information. When we get out of this conversation, you see the head coach already outside the dugout waiting to see what the crew is going to do. Are they going to change the call, or are they going to leave the call that it was a check swing, drop third strike, batter is out? We keep the call in the field of the batter is out. The head coach of the offensive team is not happy. I would not expect the coach to be happy here. However, see how this coach came out and met the umpires at the 45-foot line of the fair foul line. He's not happy with it, but he's having an adult conversation. He is now modeling for his players of how to behave in adverse situation. All right, so coaches watching this, umpires watching this, players watching this. Not every single call is going to go your way. Not every single call is going to be correct. However, we must act like pros and be able to communicate in a professional manner. So again, the call did not go this coach's way, but thank you for this coach to show a role model way to behave in adverse situations. Being a pro. The final play we're going to be talking about of how to handle tough situations as a pro. We have a hit by pitch, strike 3 in the strike zone. That is the judgment of the umpire. The elbow was in the strike zone, and the batter either moved the elbow towards the pitch ball or kept the elbow in the strike zone for strike 3. The player acted like a pro and took the judgment. Yes, he had disagreement, but once explained by the umpire and the player both acted like pros. And it doesn't surprise me that that player acted like a pro, because this head coach did not sprint and scream coming down the line. He walked towards the home plate umpire to get the information. And the information was given, not necessarily that it was agreed upon by everybody, but we as adults, players, coaches, and umpires can have different opinions. We communicate our opinions, and we act like adults, act like pros to get through a tough situation. So by rule, players, if that pitch is in the strike zone and you either allow it to hit you in a body part that's in the strike zone, or you go hit with your body part a good pitch, by rule, the call's a strike. 2 strikes, ball becomes dead because a pitch ball hits the batter, and it is strike 3 because it was in the strike zone, or you went and got hit by the pitch. So good job. Yes, tough call. Yes, tough situation, but we handled it like pros to communicate what happened on the play. Thank you for taking time out with PSOA to come back to the training tapes that we provide. Again, the whole purpose of this training tape was to show demonstrations of how we, as players, coaches, and umpires, can act like pros to help impact others' lives in a positive way and help show and model how we all can continue to grow up to be successful people and learning of how to handle tough situations in life through the game of baseball. Umpires, remember, you're only as good as your last call.